Hey, what's up guys? This is Durian Productions. Okay, today we got a very special Chinese Lenovo laptop. It's for Chinese business market only. In China it's called Untitled S550. It's something like Heaven S550. So it's corresponding, I believe, to IdeaPad series. So skip about the name. So you got a Ryzen R5-4500U, 16 gigabytes of storage, RAM, and 512 gigabytes of storage, 14-inch IPS with a Windows 10 Home. This laptop also comes with 4600U and 4800U, and with very decent price. So if you cannot really get a Lenovo Xiaoxing series or want more stable business experience, then this is one of the best choice outside the market. Out of the box, you got a wrapped Lenovo laptop and also the charger. One thing I did notice that's a bit special for this charger is that in this year, most manufacturers are moving towards USB Type-C charger, while for this charger is an old-fashioned ThinkPad box-shaped charger. It's definitely safer to use because it's well grounded compared to USB Type-C. But it takes up some space, and this USB-C port will not be able to use as any other functions. Personally, I like this type of charger, but I do not like that it takes up the space. So probably Lenovo in the future, when you finish the stock of this old charger, just move to USB Type-C for all new chargers. The laptop itself looks very similar to Xiaoxing Air 14 or IdeaPad 5 14, the premium version. It's gray. It looks very good on hand, slightly brownish gray color. It feels very solid on top, on hand, a bit heavy, but not really annoying. On the one side, okay, it's not a USB, it's a charging port, an HDMI. Type-C can be used for charging. We tested that. And a headphone jack. On the other side, we got to a USB-A port. One of the USB port allows you charging your phone when power off, while on the one side there is some cooling window. Oh my god, first time I see that, quite wild. You probably cannot use a single hand to open it, but anyway, if you just grab the other side, you'll remove the lid easily. On the keyboard side, it feels very premium. The trackpad, you got a CNC finish, and so it looks more premium than expected. The keyboard, although it's advertised as gray, but it's kind of goldenish or yellowish, it looks pretty beautiful. On the screen side, okay, this is why it's a bit heavier than expected. So on the bottom side, there is a pretty wild plastic bezel. On the top side, it's pretty narrow with such a webcam on top. You can definitely put the screen flat on top. You also got Harman Kardon sound on this laptop, which is much better than many laptops without any certification, or with a certification, but probably nothing to hear about. You also got a fingerprint sensor integrated into the power button. I do like this type of circular power button, or you won't be able to find where your power button is sometimes. We already set it up using Type-C charging, so if you've got Type-C charger, just use it and go ahead. Wow, the backlit is pretty beautiful. It's leaking a bit, but there's nothing to complain about, because most manufacturers got this type of backlit keyboard. The speed is very fast. As you can see, we're in a shiny day. Wow, the screen is still bright enough indoors to overcome the shiny day. But if you're looking forward to use this panel outdoors, I would suggest you go for other brands and other models with at least 500 nits, allowing you to use outdoors. The overall speed of this laptop is pretty good, much better than general Lenovo IdeaPad series. This is a business level laptop. Probably it is optimized for response rate. Also remember that this is only the R5 version. If you are going to get an R7 version, most probably you are going to get better speed. Now, let us move to a YouTube video to experience the sound and video quality.
Our next guest, all she was trying to do was catch a train in the London Tube, and now she is one of the hottest videos on internet. Here's why.
Finish the lyrics. Tell me something, girl. Are you happy in this modern world?
Or do you need more?
Wow.
Keep going. So hardcore.
Wow, you're really good. Keep going.
I'm off the deep end. Watch. Tell me something, boy. Aren't you tired trying to fill that void? Or do you need more? Ain't it hard keeping so hardcore? I'm falling. In all the good times I find myself longing for change.
The swing quality is actually very similar to the ThinkPad T14 I reviewed. Don't really care too much about the 250 nits brightness, the color gamma. Wow, the good thing is that the contrast is pretty good, and there's minimum level of backlight leaking on top. So I really prefer this type of panel compared to some so-called high color gamma, high brightness, but you got a lot of backlight leaking on top. So if you want to get good screen, go to MacBook or some other well-chosen laptop, but just do not try to get a high performance laptop panel in basic price range. The sound, nothing to say. It is fantastic, Harman Kardon level. So this is what we can expect. The best from a 14-inch laptop. So good work, Lenovo. The specs are pretty simple. A 6-core, a 5 processor. You can get 6-core 12 threads, 4600U, or even 4800U. 8-core, 16 threads. It has dual channel RAM on top, 3200 megahertz. It's not even using 266, which is much better than many other brands. The battery is a 45 watt-hour battery. So it's not really big, but considering the discharging rate is only 3 watts plus, well, you can still use 10 hours idle, and probably 6-7 hours using battery to work, which is not bad at all. Probably this type of 250 nits panel really reduce the power consumption. It makes the life easier for the battery. This is something the business laptop is definitely doing better than consumer level laptop power consumption optimization. The GPU is a Vega 6. It's decent enough for light gain. The LCD panel is from Innolux. The brightness is good enough. The color gamut is also good enough. The key is that it's probably an A+ level panel. The solid-state drive is actually from Samsung. I didn't really realize that it's from Samsung. It's a PM991, although it's not the fastest, but it's very stable, and from Samsung. The Wi-Fi card is from Concord. It supports 2+2 MIMO and Bluetooth 5.0. Anyway, it's not a router Wi-Fi card. and you will not experience too much issue if you are doing Wi-Fi browsing activities. So look at the benchmark tables. First, the CPU and GPU. The Cinebench R15, 700 plus CB for R5-4500U, which is decent, and single core around 170, which is top notch. So it's definitely more than enough for everyday work. The BMD raw speed test, wow, as you can see, the performance is very, very limited, probably due to the limited optimization for AMD chips. As a result, so if you are using AMD for raw speed test or for editing Blackmagic RAW, then you will have a hard time to do that. The solid-state drive from Samsung is fantastic, although it's just QLC from PM901, but it's still fantastic. The RAM speed is also very fast, 30 plus gigabytes speed per second, and the latency is okay. It's not on par with any Intel models, but AMD is still improving, and it's definitely usable. Now, let us move to the stability test. Current temperature is 40 Celsius degree. After starting the CPU stress test, the CPU frequency first goes up to 2.4 gigahertz with 10 watts. As most AMD Ryzen CPU, you will need a few seconds to a highest clock rate to 16 watts and 3.0 gigahertz. This is one of the lowest I see from Ryzen laptops from Lenovo. You can't expect this type of performance from Asus or Acer, which are generally performance limited. But from Lenovo, this is very interesting, and the first time we see, wow, this power envelope is definitely good enough for the processor. The temperature now is just 65 Celsius degree. And after 10 minutes of stability test, the frequency is still very high, 2.7 to 2.8 gigahertz, and the power envelope limited to 14 watts. There is some drop, but not significant. What we can read from the policy of Lenovo is that try to keep the noise low or nil, and then try to make everything stable. Kind of remember that there is a performance mode on this type of Lenovo laptop. Once you turn it on, the frequency goes up to 3.7 gigahertz with a 29 watt power envelope. You definitely get a lot of additional frequency, 30% additional performance, and twice power. However, the temperature is almost reaching the limit 100 Celsius degree, and be sure to run this mode when you are in a very chilling room, or you probably will risk damaging the laptop. Additionally, there are significant fan noise in this mode. On the contrary, if we go to the silent mode, it gives you around 12 watt power, and there is no fan noise at all. The frequency can still be maintained at 2.5 gigahertz. You got 6-core 2.5 gigahertz, which is not really bad. As a result, I do not really understand why Ryzen just do not go for some tablets. So for suggestion, you basically better keep everyday work at normal mode, and the 14 power envelope is definitely the most proper frequency you can expect for everyday usage. After adding GPU into the stress test, the CPU frequency is locked at 2.6 gigahertz, while GPU at 700 megahertz also. So this 14 or 15 watt power envelope or 16 power envelope is actually good enough to let both run at decent frequencies. After 5 minutes of stability test, the CPU frequency is still around 2.4 gigahertz with the same power envelope 14 watts as previous GPU frequency. Not too much change, around 600 megahertz fluctuating a bit, very much understandable. Now let's turn on the performance mode, and instantly the CPU clocks to 3.4 GHz with a GPU frequency at 1 GHz plus. And this is a very relevant news since you basically got 50% of boost in GPU speed if you can open the performance mode for gaming. The only downside is that if you are running CPU and GPU both intensive gaming, your system probably get overheat. But so long as your game does not require 6 core run at full power, then there's nothing to worry about, and you will be able to game properly in performance mode. Definitely there are some noise for this mode, and it's pretty loud, but it's not very strong, and you will be able to accept it because the noise is pretty stable. This laptop is pretty suitable for those people who is looking for a stable laptop with more connectivity, with better build compared to Lenovo Xiaoxin series or Genuine IdeaPad series. They have the similar counterparts, but this one is definitely better designed and more solid.